Yes, students, our topic number is 8th class science 12th chapter friction. So first I'll define friction, then we'll discuss in detail what is friction. Many things are there in this. So definition I am talking about: when two surfaces are in contact with each other, in bracket press each other, then the relative motion between the pair. So when you are talking two surfaces, you are talking, so there is nothing extra other thing we are adding. So between the pair, that relative motion is called slippage. Relative motion between the pair is called slip, is opposed by a tangentially acting force. Called frictional force. So if you have kira, so to cut the kira, we will keep the knife like this. We will keep the knife like this. We will cut the kira like this. So force will act like this. To remove its skin, what we do? We apply force like this. This kind of force application is called tangential. Tangential force. Even potato also. So to remove skin, we apply force like this. That's called tangential force. To cut potato, we apply force like this. That's called normal force. So you cannot remove the skin without touching it. So you need to press and move. So when two surfaces are in contact with each other, that means one presses the other. That's the necessary condition. Sufficient is slippage. Press and slip. So when two surfaces are in contact with each other, that is each pressing one another, the relative motion between the pair, the slippage between the pair, is opposed by a force acting tangentially, not normally. This is called normal, this is called tangential. Tangentially acting force called frictional force. The property of the pair responsible for above opposition to slippage is called friction. So frictional force is a force. Friction is a property. What property? Property of the pair. Suppose this is a ceramic plate. So on this you try to glide this wood. Easy to glide. Now try to take this rubber sponge. It is little difficult to glide. So the pair have a property. That property of the pair is called friction, and that friction depends on several factors. What are they? Nature of surfaces. Out of the pair you change any one of them, then friction gets changed. You really do this experiment at home. Try to rub it with one side. Now try to rub it. It will be different. Similarly, change this material, take another material. On this, friction will be different. Turn it, again friction will be different. Now it's easier. So change this, take another material, try to rub it. Take another material, rub it. Now take these two materials, try to rub it. So as you change the materials, that means out of the pair any one of them change or both of them change, friction will change. So factors affecting friction is nature of surfaces in contact. In a simple way, decorum is smooth, whereas wood is rough. Wood over wood have more friction. Wood over wood have more friction than decorum over decorum. Decorum over wood. Like this. Similarly, concrete on that rubber tire will have less friction. Sand on that rubber tire will have more friction. In the pair you change any one of them, friction changes. So nature of surface in contact. Next, surface finish. Surface finish is, you can see the same plate whatever I have Tali. This side it is smooth, back side it is little rough. They are not made it smooth. So if you make some surface smoother, friction gets reduced. If you make some surface rough, friction gets increased. So you surface finish. Smooth surface will have less friction, rough surface will have more friction. Surface finish. Lubrication. So on some surface, if slippage is becoming difficult, sprinkle some boric powder. When people play carom board, they will sprinkle. It's a fine powder. It increases the slippage. Pour chalk piece powder. That rangoli powder what we use in rangoli timings, that is calcium carbonate powder. That you sprinkle, it becomes rough. That's why the people who lift heavy weights, so that the weight don't slip and fall on the body, what they do, they'll rub some calcium carbonate powder, rough powder they will sprinkle on their hands, then use it. So rough powder will increase the friction, smooth powders will decrease the friction. Lubrication, basically slippery related thing. If you have liquid will slip it. Suppose why they do it? They have sweat. That sweat makes it slippery. That's why before they try to remove that wetness. That's why lubrication. So nature of surfaces, surface finish, lubrication. These factors between a pair altogether will decide friction. In future, in higher classes, that is related to some topic called coefficient of friction, mu. The symbol is called mu, mu. What is mu? A factor which takes care of all these things, and that value, once it is given in the examination, it will be very useful to you. No need to think what was the surface, what was the surface finish, what was the lubrication. These all things are accounted by a number. And in future, when you are doing problem solving, at school level you don't have, but at college level you have a lot of problem solving. Problem solving is taken care by this number called mu. That's called coefficient of friction for a given pair. So when two surfaces are touching each other or pressing each other and try to slip one over other, a force comes in opposing. That force we call it as frictional force. And the property of those two surfaces which bring all these things to happen is called friction. And friction factors are nature of surfaces, surface finish, and lubrication, on which the friction depends. And if friction is more, frictional force will be more. If friction is less, frictional force will be less. Not only the factors, some other things are also there which will affect friction. And now comes one question: why does smooth surfaces have friction? For that there is a theoretical explanation of friction is there. Practical explanation, I am going to do a lot of examples. Theoretical explanation, only one is there. If you have one surface which is very smooth and keep it on the other surface which is also smooth, and this smoothness you are feeling with your hands by rubbing like this, and you are feeling it. So this is a macroscopic viewpoint. Macroscopically smooth, if you take at an atomic level, at a minute level, and you magnify it and check. Microscopic view. At a very minute level, if you try to take a small portion of the area, this is somebody, on that you take a small portion, you magnify it hundreds of times under a microscope, you will find that the upper surface will have some irregularities like this, and the lower surface also will have some irregularities like this, and these irregularities will interlock at some places. These are called interlock that you can't see it with your eyes. Interlock irregularities. Interlocking irregularities are responsible for friction. So when you have a ordinary nail, you can put into a wall, but if at all that having some threads kind of thing, it holds better. So the threads, the roughness will make the cold welding, it's called. So it's not, we are not heating it. Here we are doing cold welding. So I'll show you one example. This is the glass. If I am holding like this, its weight is being supported by my hand. If I hold like this, so this force will be applied. Here my hand has some irregularities, here the glass has some irregularities. These irregularities got interlocked. That's why this glass is not falling down. So interlocking irregularities are responsible. So theoretical explanation is what? Why friction is coming into play. When the two surfaces are very smooth, one should easily glide over the other. But that gliding is not happening. They are stopping. So interlocking is happening. So interlocking, visibly you don't have anything. So at macroscopic level, they are smooth surfaces. At microscopic level, they are rough surfaces. Rough surfaces, not only rough, they have irregularities. Not only that, the irregularities interlock at certain places. And this area is called area of contact. And what visibly you find length into breadth is called apparent area. Macroscopic area, that means this is a box, length into breadth, if you make, you get an area, that's called macroscopic area. Visible area, apparent area. If you put like this, all the points will not be in contact with my hand. See, some portion is not in contact. Even inside also, when I am holding it like this, when I keep my hand like this, all the parts are not touching this. So that area which is microscopic in nature is a real area of contact. Friction depends on microscopic invisible area, but friction don't depend on macroscopic visible area. So it is useless for you to calculate this into this area to think that friction depends on macroscopic area. Friction don't depend on macroscopic visible area. It depends on microscopic invisible area. So there is no point in calculating it. Moreover, see here, 4 fingers I am attaching and I am hooking at the other side like this. If I use 3 fingers also, I can hold it. So whether I increase the area or decrease the area doesn't matter. Same force I need to apply it. So microscopic area, if it increases or decreases, some difference can happen. But macroscopically, we are not doing anything. To increase the microscopic area at microscopic level, I have to make this also come in joint with this. For that, what I have to do, I have to press it more. So I am holding a glass. Is the glass falling down? No. Now I put one object like this. It's not falling even now. The glass is not slipping. Actually, without knowing, I pressed the glass more. Previously, I was pressing lightly, slightly. Now when I put this, unknowingly I pressed the glass more. Why I pressed the glass more? So that more the microscopic area comes into contact. So they say that frictional force, small f if you call it as, proportional to normal force. More you press, more the friction. Less you press, less the friction. For example, I have this object. I am holding it like this. Very lightly I am holding. It's not sliding. I am able to stop this. I have little heavy book. I am trying to hold like this. I am pressing more compared to that. That unknowingly I am doing it. So if I apply little less force, it will slide down like this. So when I decrease the normal press, then friction also gets reduced. Frictional force depends on normal force, but frictional force don't depend on the macroscopic area, visible area. It depends on invisible area, which we cannot anyhow find. So blindly we can say that frictional force don't depend on area. If frictional force depend on area, if I hold with 4 fingers or with 1 finger, it should be, you feel same weight. You will not feel any difference in it, and your fingers also will not get more ruptured. But if you add some water in it or you increase the heaviness, then you have to press it more and more. That means you have to have more and more normal force. So frictional force depends on normal force, not only depends, directly proportional to normal force, but frictional force don't depend on macroscopic visible area. This is theoretical explanation of friction, and even some practical parts I discussed by taking something into a hand and I am explaining it. Microscopic viewpoint you can understand only when you have a microscope. And anyhow, if you see your hands very nearby also, you can see a lot of irregularities in it. But smooth surface, when I am talking about decorum kind of thing, which you with your eye can't see the smoothness, the roughness, you have to see under microscope to understand whether it is having irregularities or not. This is the introduction to friction. Yes, students, types of friction is the next topic. In types of friction, there are two types of friction, kinetic and static. Kinetic friction comes into play when there is a slip. Static friction comes into play when there is no slip. And sometimes friction may not be acting also. Suppose this is a duster, this is some surface. This is I am discussing about this. So when I keep the surface like this, its weight is acting downward and normal force is acting like that, and there is no rupture in this side. So tangentially this is not doing anything like this. So frictional force is 0 in this case. Small f is friction. Friction is not there. Now I slowly incline it slightly, not heavily, slightly. Is it sliding? Not sliding. But still, you know that on incline, weight will have some part. See, this is a weight. A small portion of weight acts like this. When inclination is small, small portion will act. When inclination is completely like that, full weight will act. So a small part of weight will act for a small inclination. In that case, see here. In that case, it is not slipping. But still there is a rupture between the surfaces which we can't be seeing it. Like when I am holding a glass, even though glass is not falling, if it is heavy glass, my hands will feel the rupture. So that force is called static friction force, which is coming into play when there is no slippage. Visibly there is no slip. At that time the frictional force. Now when I incline it to the greater extent, sliding, 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 that means slipping is occurring. In the case of when there is a slip, more part of, if you incline more, then more part of weight act along the incline. Therefore it starts slipping. Then the friction comes. That's called kinetic friction. So kinetic friction, static friction, no friction. When I keep like this, no friction, static friction, kinetic friction. All these things you have to think in terms of this. I told you, no, when you have potato, we'll cut like this, but you peel, we'll do like this. Tangential force is to be imagined. You are not supposed to imagine a normal force. You have to imagine a tangential parallel to the surface force. This kind of force is normal force. This kind of slippage leads to frictional force. These are the types of friction. Unfortunately, in your higher classes you will study there is something called rolling friction, but actually there is nothing called rolling friction. During rolling, static friction only will act. Again, rolling with forward slip, rolling with backward slip, rolling with no slip. So again everything will come into these two categories only, but they are given in your textbook. When object rolls like this, at that time whatever is the friction between the object and the surface is there, that they call it as rolling surface. So if I don't tell that, you may not write in examination or you may lose marks, but strictly speaking in future you will understand that friction is only two types. When there is no slip, static friction. When there is a slip, there is kinetic friction. Even while rolling, it may be slipping and rolling, it leads to kinetic friction. While rolling, it may happily roll without a slip, then it is static friction only. There is nothing as such called rolling friction. If you see good textbook like Resnick and Haldane, C.S. Zemansky or higher level books, you will understand there is nothing called third type of friction called rolling friction. But still, in your textbook, they have made a mention of rolling friction. When two surfaces are in contact with each other and when there is no slip condition, and if at all there is a opposition acting, that leads to static friction. When there is a slippage, then that leads to kinetic friction. When a rolling object is when a body is rolling, at that time the friction acting, they call it as rolling friction, but which don't exist. Don't worry, I am telling you the truth. This is about types of friction. Yes, students. So this topic is interesting for students' point of view because it's very easy to grasp and write the answer in board examinations. But for teacher point of view, there is nothing to teach much. Anyhow, they can ask a question, what are advantages and disadvantages of friction, or they can question it as what are merits and demerits of friction, or they may ask you to prove that friction is necessary as well as evil to the society, evil to the mankind. Like that they ask you a question. So answers are like this. Actually friction provides grip. I told you with so many examples. Because of the grip only I am able to hold pen, I am able to hold chalk piece, we are able to hold and write some things, we are able to hold the objects, glass. If I want to drink water I have to hold it and drink. So friction provides grip. That's a big advantage. Nut, bolt are also grip into the, for example here this bolt we are able to hold because of nut and bolt kind of system and all. We are able to climb trees because of friction. If this tree was smooth we will fall down. And some pole, electric pole you want to climb, then also friction will help, because we have now latest poles we are keeping some hooks kind of thing, we will put a ladder, we will go up. But even to keep a ladder also on the wall, if there is no friction at the bottom then it will slide at the bottom, if there is no friction at the top it will slide at the top. So friction is actually helping in climbing trees and ladders and poles. Friction opposes the slippage. When you try to slip it opposes, that's the advantage. When some wheel is rotating, if you can arrest the rotation of the wheel, then wheel has to slide. As it slides, it will stop. So the braking of all the vehicles, whether it may be a cycle or it may be a rickshaw or whatever it may be, the braking happens when you arrest the rotation. When you arrest the rotation, it will slip a little distance and it will stop. So braking is happening because of friction, because it have opposing slip kind of tendency. This is all physics words. This is what is given in the textbook. Similarly, provide reaction. So when you do the leg like this with your when your leg is done like does like this is an action on the floor. The reaction makes you move forward. So I am able to walk forward or backward by pushing the road backward or the floor backward. So when I push the floor backward I move forward. So friction gives a reaction to you, that it makes you walk and run. Otherwise if there is smooth surface, you try to walk, you will fall down, you will never walk. Next, ruptures. So rupturing is one way bad thing, but some way it is good. Suppose some rusted iron nail is there, we will rupture it using sandpaper, we can clean it. So cleaning happens because of the rupture many times. So cleaning with sandpaper will help us. Same rupture is a disadvantage, same rupture is an advantage. Slip is advantage, slip is a disadvantage. Providing reaction is advantage, providing reaction is disadvantage. So like that. Similarly, any energy if it goes into motion to other form we call dissipative energies. Motion is lost and gone into some other form, we call dissipative. Petrol, diesel, current, all we use only for the purpose of continuation of motion. For example, once vehicle you started and it's going at 40 kmph. Actually fuel is not required. If at all friction is not there, it goes forever. But every time petrol is get consumed to maintain that speed because there is friction. Similarly, once you switch on the fan, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, fast it became rotating. Now you don't need current once it came to high speed. But actually, just a minute. Sorry for the disturbance. So rotating fan, once it comes to the high speed, it has to continue like that, even if you switch off. But because of the friction between the bearing and all, just if you switch it off, after little time it stops. To continue it, we have to continuously supply energy. So lot of our fuel, diesel, current, everything is getting wasted only because of friction. If friction was not there in this world, once you start a vehicle, it moves forever. But actually it will not even stop also. Stopping is also done by friction. So in one way it is useful, one way it is not useful. Next, once fan is started, it will never stop if friction is absent. To stop again, we need friction. Like that. But mostly dissipative, all the fuels what we are using, petrol, coal, diesel, current, what all we are using, it's only to overcome friction, nothing else we are doing it. Undesirable heat, this lost whatever petrol, diesel, current, whatever we are losing to overcome friction, that goes into heat. You can rub your hands, you will get heat. That will lower the efficiency of machinery. Efficiency means the useful work. Heat, we don't want it. Heat, we want it for cooking and other purpose. But inside the fan, when it is rotating, why you need heat? When you are going in a car, why the engine should become hot? That hotness is no way useful to you. So that kind of undesirable heat will lower the efficiency of machines because energy is gone into some other form which you don't want. Next, wear. So our soles of your shoes and tires, what you every 40,000 kilometers your dad, you ask him, he will change your vehicle tires. Why? Because after many times when he is driving on the vehicle, sometimes you apply brake and all that, due to that little it gets ruptured. After a few days you have to change your vehicles. So wearing off, that's called rupturing of that shoes, tires, it all happens. Similarly, tear, after a few days if you don't change it, it will even break also. So the machinery parts also inside machinery, after a few days they have to do that, they get wear off and finally they get tear off. So these all things are disadvantages. So in that way, same thing, what is helping us, same thing is having a disadvantage. Because of friction, the fan will not rotate. Once you apply the current, it will rotate. Once it is rotating, you don't want actually friction. So what intellectually people like you and me will do, because we have brain, animals don't have brain, what we do, wherever it is advantage, we take the advantage, and wherever the disadvantage is there, we will not take the disadvantage. So we'll try to adopt some methods to reduce friction, try to adopt some methods to increase friction. Where is necessary, we will make it more. Where is not necessary, we make it less. We cannot avoid friction, but we can make it more or less depending on our requirements. Maximize and minimize friction. That is next topic. Yes, students, we are near to the ending of this chapter called friction, 8th class science 12th chapter. So we have advantages or merits and as well as disadvantages. Advantage we increase, disadvantage we decrease. So there are methods of increasing friction, methods of minimizing friction. So where actually we do it practically, when there is a ground, particularly in rainy season, whenever there is a turns, there is a much chance that vehicles get skid and slip. That's why they pour sand on a slippery road. Wherever there is a slippery road, you don't even know. Greater Hyderabad Municipal Corporation, GHMC people, they come and they will pour the sand and they go away. Why they are done? They increase the roughness so that you don't skid. Particularly in rainy seasons, they do that. Next is grooves in your shoe. Suppose you have a shoe like this. You have some markings on the shoe. Why you have that marking on the shoe? Because in rainy season, particularly this all happens in rainy season only. When you put a flat surface on a flat surface, in between water is there. Water is slippery, it will make you go and fall. If you have a groove, that means you are given little place for water to go inside. Inside the water goes into the groove and the remaining surface will be rough only. For example, if I keep it like this, water cannot go. If I keep it little open, then water can go into the groove. So when I have a shoe completely flat, if I press like this, water don't have any chance to go this side or that side. If there is a groove, water will go there. Similarly, treads in the tire, even in the road tire, what circular tires you have. So they will create some grooves or little place for water to go inside so that rubber can stick onto the ground. Because of this also, friction will increase. So creating treads in the tires and all, this makes friction increase or the slippery decrease. Corace powder, the gymnasts when they lift some heavy weights, and when the kabaddi people, when they play kabaddi, so that they get grip on the person to catch, they use some corace powder, rough powder. That rough powder increases the friction, increases the grip to lift the weights and all. Anyhow, many times I tell it, you have to read 1 or 2 times in the textbook, then you will understand. These are the ways we increase the friction wherever it's necessary. Similarly, where it is not necessary, we remove it. Polish the surfaces. It has been observed that polished surfaces which are smooth will have less friction. So by doing this polishing, we can reduce friction wherever we don't want. All the evils, whatever we discussed, machinery parts are there, or wherever you have discomfort, where we do polishing. Lubrication. Between a pair of solid, you put some liquid in between. It becomes slippery. That's called lubrication. In engine oils and all, 2T oil, 340 oil, like that, in a vehicle servicing they put it. So the piston which is going up and down, making the motion possible, should move easily. For that, friction is not required there. Lubricating oils will help us. Not only that, they also suck and absorb the heat also. Ball bearing. Compared to sliding, rolling is more easier. So if you have this, see here, this is sliding motion, this is rolling motion. Rolling motion is more comfortable than sliding motion. Easily it will happen. Therefore, they have, when between two wheels which has to slide one between the other like this, inside a machinery, they insert some cherries, they call it as, or hard steel balls. Even in the fan also you'll have ball bearing. So that ball bearing, what it will do, convert sliding motion into rolling motion, which will be more easier. Thereby friction gets reduced. Streamlining. particularly high speed trains and high speed vehicles, they make the front part sharper. So the air which comes here just easily passes away through its sides and all, and the vehicle goes forward. And this is related not to the solid friction, this is related to solid fluid friction. Anyhow, when we are learning, we learn all the required things. So there are some places where there is a evil or disadvantage, there we reduce the disadvantages. Some places we have advantages or merits, there we increase the merits. So there are some methods to increase the friction, there are some methods to decrease the friction. Read them carefully 2 or 3 times, try to write them point-wise to remember them. Actually what happens is, you may write the 3 points, fourth point you may not get, and if the examination they give it at your school level for 4 marks, that 4th point you will miss. So write them point-wise, elaboration becomes easy. Even you don't believe, when I was writing this, I could write these 4 points, this 4th point I was unable to recollect it. Then I went to the textbook and I seen that gymnasts and heavy lifting weight people use Coras powder. In the same lecture in the beginning I told, now to write the point I forgot it. That's why make them a small list and try to convert them into single: sand, groove, thread, Coras, like that you remember some words. So it will be easy for you to elaborate in the future. There is nothing in it. When you come to intermediate level, friction is a very tough topic where we do a lot of problems and all. There you need a lot of knowledge. Here, just the point you need to remember it so that you can write on your own English. See, basically you are English medium students. Obviously you know English. You can open it. But only thing you should know which point to be written. For example, you forgot the word lubrication. You don't even get that idea. Anyhow, we are closing this chapter. This is called friction for 8th class children.